pocket.
Goes straight at it.
End. A chance for the Bombers through Watson.
And that set the scene for a torrid struggle between the two teams and these two men in the first half.
Gee. You can do with that sort of stuff. Andrew Manning was on the end of it, I think. That'll be a free kick to Essendon. Manning gets it away pretty quickly. O'Donnell. It was a wobbly kick. There's another one. Tried to find Garry Lyon. He gets taken out of it. Healy. Watson. Kick it. Buick. Ducks in.
Now some good play here by the Bombers to set up a goal.
Left foot will be off target. Knocked down by Buick, but there's a goal. Put through by Flood. That's his second.
Flood kicking 3 goals, and we'll talk to Scotty Palmer about an injury problem he may have a little later on in the program. A lucky goal here for the Demons, but well done by Campbell. Kept persisting and got it through now. Have a look at this again. Now Dwyer and Madden at it at the centre bounce.
Here's something for trial by video, perhaps.
They certainly had a good look at each other during the game, as did a lot of the players. Now the policeman here was in a funny position. He didn't really want to get involved, and who can blame him?
He's got a hand in it as well.
He's not interested, is he?
No.
Van der Haar's nearly had his jumper pulled off his back by Jimmy Steins. Emergency umpire into it, crowd into it. It's all action at Windy Hill in the match of the day.
Manning.
And the Bombers really did look like they were going to cruise home for their 9th consecutive victory. Buick loves to kick goals, their top goal scorer of the season. And to kick it after Yates made a mistake with his hands. But suddenly, at three-quarter time, the Demons found a bit. Their captain, Greg Healy, with a goal. And then this marvellous mark by Bennett in goal. A spectacular mark. Watch this.
Long to within goal score. Mark to Bennett.
And then think of the pressure, lining up for his 5th goal.
It's a beautiful kick. It's straight through the centre.
So the Demons terrible slump. This O'Dwyer-Madden duel at the centre bounces, did it play a part, do you think, Ian Robertson, in the outcome of the game?
Well, I think it indicated just Melbourne's attitude. Right from the very first bounce, they must have been extremely fired up. And I'm a great believer that if you've got 20 guys that are committed, Bruce, that you've got some chance, and that's what Melbourne were all about yesterday. They had good players. I thought Flintoff was a good player for each of the 4 quarters. Putting Garry Lyon into the action, it's a pity they haven't got maybe just 2 more Garry Lyons. They just haven't quite got a lot of, what would you call it, skill, natural skill, but gee, they've got some determination, Melbourne, and it really was a victory that could carry them through the next 8 weeks. It'll give them something to springboard from, beating Essendon out there. Essendon at certain stages, Bernie, weren't they? They looked great.
Well, Michael Long was one player, and also Anderson. Their centre line is fantastic, but yesterday I'm surprised that Melbourne got so close. I still don't know how they won the game. So full credit to Melbourne, the way they kept chipping away. Jackson was one player who I thought played very well. I thought the skipper, Greg Healy, came back into form, especially in that last quarter. He certainly put his body in. At the bottom of the pack, he's been criticised, I know, this year, but he was very good in that last quarter when the chips were down. And, of course, Darren Bennett, who kicked 4 goals in the last quarter too.
They look a bit overconfident, Essendon, at the finish when they got 34 points up.
Well, I think everyone thought it was over, Bob, at that stage, especially when Anderson kicked that goal. It was a magnificent goal on his right foot. And I think everyone at the ground except Robbo here, who was the only one that gave Melbourne any chance of coming back. And the Melbourne players themselves, they believed in themselves.
6 goals is nothing in football today, sure.
Well, it was the 11-minute mark of the last quarter.
Doesn't matter. You've seen 6, like they've kicked 8. They haven't kicked 6, they've kicked 8 and won by 8 points.
Robbo, how many times have you seen Essendon beaten 6 goals in front at home with 20 minutes to go?
Well, I think football's changed dramatically. I mean, I asked Bob about 2 or 3 weeks ago that when he was coaching, if you had it was when Geelong had a 41-point lead over Carlton at half-time, would they lose the game? And he said, no way. Now, what happens now, I think, is that there's a heck of a lot of emphasis on the positive moves. And when the other team gets on top, it's very difficult for the top team to keep going.
Bernie, we mentioned it over the weeks, but do you think that a lot of Essendon players prefer the open spaces rather than the confines of Windy Hill?
Well, there is talk about Essendon being better on the big grounds these days, and they probably are because they're running players. The likes of Michael Long and Greg Anderson and Tim Watson, and when they get in the confines, Melbourne were a couple of times able to run these players down, which you don't often see, especially there was a tackle of Garry Lyons we saw just a minute ago when he caught Michael Long. It was a brilliant tackle, and he received the free kick for it because Michael Long went the bounce. He thought he could get away, But I don't know about that, Kelvin.
Well, they've got speedy little players also. Can you sort of confine them? I mean, in the confines, once again, in Windy Hill, they can't really show their talents or their gifts, if you like.
Well, they did in that first half. They were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. There was no stopping them. But Melbourne just got back and they kept chipping away. And they got the numbers around the ball, and that's where the game changed.
What about the votes, gentlemen?
Well, I gave the votes yesterday, Robbo, so I gave 3 to Garry Lyon. I thought his game in the centre was magnificent. He kept going and chipping away. As I said, Terry Danaher was magnificent in defence or in attack, and Ricky Jackson for his 4 goals on the Melbourne forward line.